Tonight at 9, we are tracking some light snow, which is going to roll in for us tomorrow morning. I'll have those details.
Plus, we'll hear from a local tow truck driver about staying safe while driving in the wintry conditions. And a group in Quapaw has a fundraising campaign to save the girls' weight room.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
And this is KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14. I'm Elise Snowy. Winter is finally setting in with the possibility of more snow coming. We go straight to Chief Meteorologist Doug Hetty for a first look at weather.
Yeah, most of us got a little bit of snow during the morning hours. We had some very wet snow mixing in with sleet. It didn't amount to much, half an inch in most areas, but some of our northern counties got 1 to 2 inches of snow earlier today, and then our temperatures warmed. Everything is switched over to rain and drizzle, and that's what we have in Joplin, outside of Pittsburgh, range line on the east side of the city. Temperatures still upper 30s to lower 40s, but these are going to start to cool down as we get into the overnight hours. Winter weather and advisory is going to go in effect tomorrow morning, so southeastern Kansas, southwest Missouri, northwest Arkansas does not include northeastern parts of Oklahoma, but here was the front side of the system. Here's the back side of the system that's got to pivot and rotate through later on tonight. We do have some light showers and drizzle picking up. We have from Yates Center north snow, also really just north of Nevada. We are getting some snow as well. So I'm going to break this all down for you, all coming up here in just a little bit.
All right, thanks, Doug. With the severe weather in the area, it's important to remember to drive safely. Earlier today, I spoke with the tow truck driver in the area to learn about what drivers should prepare for. As lower temperatures and snow hit parts of southeast Kansas and southwest Missouri, drivers should be on alert for dangerous road conditions. According to KDOT, a crash involving snow and ice happens every 2.87 hours in wintry weather conditions.
Usually during the first winter weather event that we have, we see an increase in slide-offs, crashes, things like that. People just maybe forgot about the safety tips that they practiced the previous year.
Jay Size, owner of Jay's Towing in Columbus, Kansas, is preparing for an uptick in tow calls for the week ahead.
The multiple days is what does it. Most people around here, we don't get snow frequently.
Size has been in the towing business for 9 years and says most accidents he sees during the winter time can be avoided.
Pretty much everything could be prevented.
But Size says drivers need to be extra careful while on overpasses and bridges.
The bridge with the wind howling like it is today could be extremely slick. So braking and accelerating on this bridge, it'd be real easy to turn the vehicle sideways and have issues.
Bridges get icier faster than roads because they have cold air above them and below them as well.
We know that the potential with any precipitation of the roadways getting slick is high, and so we're preparing just so we can have an adequate response to those that do slide off or get involved in crashes. And we just want motorists to be cognizant of that and watch their speed, allow further distance from the vehicle they're following, always buckle up and just try to stay safe.
In Cherokee County, Kansas, Elise Snowy, KOAM. Both the Size and the Cherokee County Sheriff's Office advise those out on the roads to drive at slower speeds, keep a safe distance between you and the car ahead of you, and of course, stay off your phone. Joplin police are searching for a vehicle they say hit a pedestrian and then fled the scene. It happened around 6 p.m. this evening near West 7th and Gray Avenue. Authorities say a female pedestrian was hit by a dark-colored SUV. First responders found her lying in the roadway unresponsive and rushed her to the hospital. If you have any information, you're asked to contact Joplin police. Some drivers in Newton County, Missouri may have to find a different route in the coming months. Beginning Monday, January the 15th, MoDOT will begin work on a dual-lane roundabout as well as make intersection improvements at Hammer Road, just east of I-49. Drivers should be aware of crews and equipment working close to traffic and to expect occasional lane restrictions. Completion is scheduled for November 1st, 2024. Kansas Governor Laura Kelly today partnered with a bipartisan group of 24 state lawmakers to announce a tax reform bill. The proposal would immediately eliminate the state's sales tax on groceries rather than waiting until 2025. The state's tax on Social Security benefits would also be eliminated. It would also create a 4-day back-to-school sales tax holiday every August and increase standard deductions for state income taxes. It would last for 3 years and is projected to save Kansans $1 billion. Quapaw Public Schools are expanding and updating their gymnasium, but that might mean sacrificing the girls' weight room. However, an organization is stepping in to help. KOAM's Amber Jenkins has more.
Quapaw Public Schools are trying to stay ahead of their growth through a bond that was approved for additional seating in the gym, but at the cost of the girls' weight room.
Where the current weight room is right now for our girls and for the junior high, we're pretty much going to be losing that because of additional seating.
We use it a lot, like during the summer, because it's summer workouts. We usually lift and then we come in here and we run a lot, or go outside and we run because, trying to get in shape.
The girls' weight room is set to close in 2 months after the last basketball game. Seeing the pending lack of resources for the sports program, the community boosters had a plan.
We reached out to them and said, hey, we think that we can raise enough money to build a building to house not only the weight room, but possibly a locker room for the girls' softball team, because we lack that also.
The community boosters hope to hit their goal of $40,000 by May 1st, so by next school year, the girls would not be without.
We will match anything that is given. We've already matched about half of that, about $2,500. So we are actually have raised right at $17,000 so far to go towards the project.
Without that for the girls, it just kind of, where are we supposed to get better and get faster and get stronger if we have nowhere to work out?
Reporting in Quapaw, Amber Jenkins, KOAM News.
The next fundraiser is the Dancing with the Stars competition on February 10th. Kids in Fort Scott got a chance to bring robots to life. The Fort Scott Public Library hosted the event featuring a variety of robots connected to tablets that kids could interact with and even code themselves to change their behavior. Officials say it's a great way for students to learn valuable skills.
Oh, well, it's the future. And I want the kids to have a shot at the best jobs that they can get in the future. And these types of programs are how they get there. Not just because they teach them something, but because they get them interested enough that when they have the opportunity to explore it as a career path, hopefully they'll say, I remember doing that at the library.
There was also a sticker mosaic that kids could add on to. They could even help out with the library's newsletter. Well, coming up tomorrow could be a good day to stay warm inside, but if you have to go out, we'll have tips to help you stay safe in the cold. As temperatures dip, it's important to remember that winter weather can be hazardous to our health and safety. In recent years, death rates across the country have been 8 to 12% higher during winter months, according to data from the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. Mandy Gaither has more from an emergency room physician on how to protect your health in potentially life-threatening winter weather.
From frigid air to ice and snow, cold temperatures can take a toll on our bodies.
We shunt blood flow to the central kind of core of our body in an attempt to stay warm.
Dr. Christopher Bozzoli is an emergency physician at Cleveland Clinic. He says this time of year, doctors not only see rises in ER visits for respiratory viruses as more people seek refuge inside from the cold, but also frostbite and hypothermia. Bozzoli says what you wear can help keep you safe. Protect the parts of your body most vulnerable to frostbite, like toes, fingers, nose, and ears, by dressing in warm, dry clothing.
Lots of layers, and especially the layers close to your skin. You want to have breathable fabrics if possible, especially if you're engaging in activity.
Bozzoli says a sudden change in temperature and humidity can also irritate certain medical conditions like asthma. He says to make sure you have enough medicine on hand, and if you use an electric medical device, make sure you have a way to back it up if the power goes out. He says to also be aware of how you heat your home.
We don't want to run any engine operated equipment or gas or propane powered heating devices indoors because of the risk of carbon monoxide.
Dr. Bozzoli says it's also important to check on those who are most vulnerable in frigid temperatures, especially young children. Make sure any children younger than 1 are sleeping in warm rooms, ideally between 68 and 72 degrees. Experts are recommending you stay on top of your home's cold weather preparations in order to avoid any potential damage to your pipes. They say drip your faucets if temperatures drop below freezing. You can open your cabinets to allow more heat to reach your pipes. They also recommend keeping your thermostat no lower than 60 degrees and preparing your outdoor water spigots. Doug is next with a complete look at the forecast. And later, Pitt State football now has a complete coaching staff. We'll learn about the 2 newest hires.
Well, a rainy and snowy day for us today, really depending on where you live. Our northern counties actually got 1 to 2 inches of snow, and then Joplin, Pittsburgh, most areas kind of picked up a quarter, half an inch, 3/4 of an inch. Melted very quickly, but we did have it out there. It's rain now. Look at the flags blowing. The winds are starting to pick up. Nice shot. This is our Cornell Arts and Entertainment tower cam, of course, downtown Joplin. Look at our rain, almost an inch. So that's where we're at for the month. Last year at this time, we were under a half an inch of rain. All right, winter weather advisory, Kansas, Missouri, down through Arkansas, does not include northeastern parts of Oklahoma. And look at our rainfall amounts. So where we are seeing these brighter greens upwards to about 1 inch to 2 inches. Lesser amounts out here, but that was mainly snowfall earlier today. All right, look at this storm system. Here was the front side. So this rolled throughout the daytime hours today. Now we're in what we call the dry slot, the dry air punching in. Here's the back side of this storm system, which is going to rotate through late tonight. Yates Center getting some snow, Iola some snow, then mixing with moderate to heavy snow once you get out toward Eureka. Let's go a little bit farther toward the east. You can see a little bit of a rain snow mix just north of Stockton. Southwest Missouri is dry. And then once you get into northeastern Oklahoma, showers starting to pick up once again. And this whole storm system is going to move right on top of us. You can see the upper level low just to the south of Wichita. All right, let me take you through the night. North of I-44, here's 3 a.m. A very quick band of rain. As this band rolls in, it's actually going to cool the temperatures. So a quick band of rain, snow, all snow by 3 a.m. and accumulating pretty quickly. As we get to about 5:30 in the morning, we have snow, rain-snow mix moving into Joplin, Pittsburgh, light snow once you get out across Kansas, northeastern parts of Oklahoma. Bands of light snow through the morning hours. Here's 8:30 in the morning. It'll start to taper on the Kansas and the Oklahoma side by about the noon hour. Still light snow into early afternoon in southwestern Missouri. Now, overall, it's going to be fairly light, so overall, we're not going to get a lot of snow. The most will be in our northern counties, 2 to 4 inches. Yates Center, Fredonia, maybe even Chanute, Iola. Fort Scott, Nevada, kind of in that 1 to 2, all the way down to about Pittsburgh. I think Pittsburgh will be closer to 1, and then near an inch, everybody else. So Joplin, near an inch, Neosho, Pineville, right about an inch of snow. 3/4 of an inch to an inch. So not a big snow by any means, but we'll stick on the roadways. 33 tomorrow. We're going to make it an alert day just because some of the roads are going to be a little slippery. Back to 47 on Wednesday. Rain moves in late Thursday. Snow, possible alert day on Friday. Glance at the weekend highs. 21, 22. We're going to get our first Arctic blast of the year this weekend.
Arctic blast?
Yeah.
That does not sound fun. All right, thanks, Doug.
You bet.
Well, Carthage woman and Chiefs superfan has celebrated a big milestone. Helen Hubbard today turned 104 years old. Family and friends from the community came out to celebrate with her on this special day. It included music, a customized Chief cake, and some life advice.
An attitude makes a big difference in your life. I just grew up thinking life was great all the time. You have ups and downs, but they can't rule your life.
We've done a few stories with Helen in the past. You can check them out on our website, KOAMnewsnow.com. Coming up, an incident on an Alaskan Airlines flight causes dozens of Boeing jets to be grounded this morning. After hundreds of flight cancellations created headaches over the weekend, the friendly skies may still not be so inviting, with Boeing 737 MAX 9 planes still grounded across the country over mandatory safety inspections. It's affecting Alaska and United Airlines, which use the aircraft. Fox News correspondent Jackie Ibanez has the story.
To ensure safety in the sky, the Federal Aviation Administration has ordered the temporary grounding of Boeing 737 MAX 9 aircraft across the country. This as the investigation into a troubled Alaska Airlines plane continues after a piece of the craft's fuselage called a door plug blew out mid-flight, leaving a massive hole in the side of the plane shortly after it took off from Oregon Friday night.
We just as we're declaring emergency, we needed to come down to 10,000.
No passengers and crew seriously injured, and the Alaska Airlines flight safely made it back to Portland International Airport. Still, the National Transportation Safety Board is examining what could have caused the deactivated emergency door to blow out, especially since this plane just went into service back in November.
Was it structural failure of the plug itself, or was it not latched properly? This airplane was only 3 months out of the factory.
This was a near-death experience for many of the passengers.
The FAA says the Boeing 737 MAX 9 aircraft will stay grounded until the agency is, quote, satisfied that they are safe. It's causing headaches heading into this week for many passengers looking to fly on Alaska and United Airlines, whose fleets are comprised of some of these planes.
Well, it's frustrating, but I mean, it's better they cancel it for safety instead of let it happen again.
The missing door plug was found Sunday by a Portland area teacher in his backyard. It could help investigators get a better idea of how the accident happened. Jackie Ibanez, Fox News.
Americans' attitudes about inflation have improved. In fact, they haven't felt this good about it in 3 years. That's according to the Federal Reserve Bank of New York's December survey of consumer expectations report. The survey tracked median inflation expectations are 1, 3, and 5 years ahead. All 3 periods showed declines. The survey also found expectations about credit access and overall financial health trended upward. Up next, we'll learn which state was the most popular for Americans to move to in 2023. Vermont was the most popular state to move to in 2023, according to United Van Lines' annual National Movers Study. More people moved to Vermont than any other state in the country. This is the 3rd year in a row that the state has been the most popular to move to. About 30% of movers made the decision to be closer to family, but another 20% simply wanted a change in their life. 30 more minutes of news, weather, and sports coming your way. Coming up, a cold weather shelter program in Springfield opens its doors back up in spite of the behavior of some of the clients. Plus, President Biden hits the campaign trail in South Carolina as other candidates set their sights on Iowa and New Hampshire.
You're watching the 4 states' most watched news.
This is KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14. I'm Elise Snowy. Well, Springfield's crisis cold weather shelter program will not have its shelters open tonight, but its nightly meals at Grace United Methodist Church are back open. They stopped for 3 days last week. As Joe Hickman reports, the closure happened because of unacceptable behavior.
From November through March, every evening at 5:30 at the back of the Grace United Methodist Church in downtown Springfield, a line of people can be found seeking a free meal.
It's definitely geared towards those that are experiencing homelessness, but of course anybody in the community is welcome to come.
These days, the average turnout is more than 200 people.
I am very grateful that I'm able to come here.
And there's always a need for more volunteers.
Seeing the need and knowing there's not enough people to fill the need, what little bit we can do is better than nothing.
Those meals are a godsend for those who wouldn't be getting food otherwise. But this past Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, the doors were closed at the church as the meals were halted because of a handful of people's more aggressive behavior and not following the guidelines posted at the door and disrespecting volunteers and other patrons.
Fortunately, we haven't necessarily had many escalate to the physical, but just folks that maybe aren't following the rules or maybe are being a little bit disrespectful to the property.
The stopping of meals at Grace did not affect the availability of the 7 shelters around town that are open when the temperature drops below 32 degrees at night.
Folks still had access to shelters and meals were delivered to the shelters. So folks still had their basic needs met. We just removed sort of the convenience of having it all done in one location.
And last night there was a town hall meeting where organizers made clear to the patrons that things had to change.
There were a lot of individuals that stood up and said, yeah, we see the disrespect among those that are in this population. We see the cigarette butts being left. We see the dog poop being left on property. It was kind of a reassurance, is like, great, you do understand that we don't have to do this, but we're doing this because we care.
While those under the influence of alcohol and drugs are allowed in the building,
if you bring those drugs or alcohol or do that on the property, we're going to have an issue.
And for those thinking of volunteering who might be wary now because of concerns over unruly or violent behavior,
I would just reassure you that that is not a concern. The reason we did this was simply just to do a reset, and so that things don't escalate to that point.
America's return to the moon may take a little longer than expected. Privately owned Astrobotic Technology confirms its spacecraft that blasted off for the moon early this morning has developed a fuel leak. With power dwindling, flight controllers are struggling to keep solar panels aligned with the sun to recharge the batteries. The lunar lander successfully separated from the rocket after launch, but 7 hours into the mission, the problems were revealed. President Biden went to South Carolina today to shore up support with black voters who polls show are not backing him in the same numbers as 2020. The president spoke at a church where a white gunman murdered black worshipers nearly 9 years ago. Meanwhile, the GOP candidates are crisscrossing Iowa 1 week from the Hawkeye State's caucuses. Fox News correspondent Caroline Shively reports from Washington.
President Biden spoke at the historic Mother Emanuel Church in South Carolina on Monday, recalling the murder of 9 black worshipers by a white supremacist there in 2015.
The word of God was pierced by bullets and hate and rage.
Biden's speech was briefly interrupted by protesters chanting against U.S. support of Israel's actions in Gaza. But they were quickly shouted down. More than a quarter of eligible voters in South Carolina are African American. A USA Today Suffolk University poll released last week shows that Biden's support among black voters has dropped to 63% nationwide, down from the 87% who voted for him 4 years ago. It's a notable erosion in the coalition that helped Biden beat Donald Trump in 2020.
The truth is, if that election happened today between Trump and Biden, Donald Trump wins.
On the GOP side, the Real Clear Politics average of polls shows Trump leading his GOP rivals by more than 50 points.
This is going to be what it looks like a very short Republican primary and what's going to be a very long general election.
Bad weather canceled some campaign events across Iowa Monday. Forecasts for next week's GOP caucuses predict sub-zero temperatures.
As long as there's not a severe ice storm. I don't think cold keeps people away.
Vivek Ramaswamy took a swipe at candidates who'd canceled events, telling a crowd in Iowa, if you can't handle the snow, you can't handle Xi Jinping. In Washington, Caroline Shively, Fox News.
A bit later, how one school is giving students a place to reset from the challenges of daily life.
Well, of course, we've had the sleet and snow this morning and then rain all afternoon long, and quite a bit of rain across the region. It looks great right now. This is our Cornell Arts and Entertainment Complex Tower Cam. We are looking downtown Joplin. The winds are picking up as well. Most of the roads in our area are just wet, but we are going to get some snow moving in here a little bit later on tonight. Winter weather advisory until 6 p.m. tomorrow. Now, we are getting some pretty hefty snow in our northwestern counties, so that is where the roads really aren't in great shape. All right, rainfall, the darker greens, most of the area 1 to 2 inches. We saw this first front side of the system roll through, and then here's the back side, the calm ahead. So this is going to pivot in and through, but overall the snow is going to be fairly light. Now, where you see these darker blues, that is where we're getting some moderate snow. Iola, Yates Center, out toward Eureka. Those are going to be the areas that pick up 2 to 4 inches of additional snow as we go through the overnight hours. Upper level low is going to track right on top of us, and when it tracks on top of us, it takes that heavier stripe of snow about 100 miles north of us, and that's what we're seeing as it's kind of right through the Kansas City metro. All right, so showers starting to pick up after midnight. It'll quickly switch over to snow, rain-snow mix, Pittsburgh, Joplin, Miami, Neosho, Carthage at 5 to 6 a.m. Then everybody switches over to light snow. It's not going to be heavy. It's going to be light, ending on the Kansas, Oklahoma side right around the noon hour, and then getting out to southwestern Missouri by early afternoon. Snowfall amounts, not much, but the roads are going to be a little slippery. Most of us, far southern counties in Kansas, northeast Oklahoma, dusting upwards to an inch. Northwest Arkansas, southwest Missouri, upwards to an inch. I do think that includes the Joplin metro. Pittsburgh, maybe 1 upwards to 2, but probably still closer to an inch. Nevada, you're kind of closer to that 2 mark, and then 3 or 4 once you get out toward Yates Center and also Iola. Weather impacts, we'll say moderate impacts of snow, just because they are going to be on the road. Ice is low, somewhat cold. The wind, we're going to get winds gusting near 40 for you tomorrow, so watch out for that. Morning snow, may get a little bit of sun. It's going to be cold. Highs right around 32. And look at the wind gusts. Northwest winds near 40 by the time you get up in the morning. Now, if this snow is not enough for you, we do have other chances. We got rain moving back in Thursday night and then switching over to some snow by the time we head into Friday. So that's why we have a possible alert day. Alert day tomorrow just due to the light snow. 47 on Wednesday, 53 on Thursday. Possible alert day Friday. Again, another chance for snow even on Sunday. So we have 3 chances over the next 5 days.
After not having much snow at all.
I know.
Well, it'll be
I love snow, so I can't wait to see a little bit at least.
I know, because the slushy stuff that I had on my windshield was not adequate enough.
No, it wasn't.
All right, thanks, Doug. Well, as sites collecting blood across the 4 states are participating in a unique national incentive program for blood donors. The Red Cross and the National Football League have joined forces as the nation faces the lowest number of blood donors in decades. Anyone who gives blood, platelets, or plasma in January through the Red Cross will automatically be entered for a chance to win a trip for 2 to Super Bowl 58 in Las Vegas. To find information on area sites and to make an appointment, go to this story on our website, KOAMnewsnow.com. Coming up in sports, Michigan and Washington square off for the College Football National Championship. Plus, Pitt State football brings on a familiar face as an assistant coach. John Dales has those stories and more up next.
Just over a month after being introduced as Pitt State's next head football coach, Tom Anthony completes his coaching staff for the 2024 season. This afternoon, the Gorillas welcomed the final 2 new members to their staff. One of them is a name that Gorilla Nation will remember quite well. In fact, they haven't had the chance to forget his name. Trace Jeffries, who just finished his college playing career with PSU as an offensive lineman. He'll be an offensive graduate assistant under Tom Anthony in 2024. He was a 3-time All-MIAA performer and a 2-time Division II All-American. Now, here are all the additions that Anthony has made to his staff since being hired a month ago. Brian B.K. Smith is the second hired today, along with Jeffries. He'll be the running backs coach and was the cornerbacks coach at Central Missouri this year. The 2 of them joined Bill and Kevin Blyle, Greg Hollins, Mark Smith, who comes to PSU from Frontenac, and Cody Williams as the other fresh faces on the Gorillas sideline for the upcoming season. Over to the NFL, as of late last night, we now know what time the games will be played for the wild card weekend, including the Chiefs hosting the Dolphins. Very important note for all of our viewers, this game will not be available on any cable packages. It's exclusive to the streaming app Peacock. It kicks off Saturday at 7 p.m. at Arrowhead. Now, it's a rematch of the November 5th game in Germany where Kansas City beat Miami 21-14. Again, for our Chiefs fans, you got 5 days to work on it. Game only available on Peacock. You can't get it on any cable channels. Elsewhere in the NFL, today known as Black Monday, regular season ending last night, coach firings commonly happen today. Falcons head coach Arthur Smith, he's fired after 3 seasons and no playoff berths. And the Commanders fire their head coach Ron Rivera after 4 years without a winning season. Those are not the only 2 transactions made today. The Carolina Panthers fire their head coach midway through the season. Today, they fire their general manager, Scott Fitterer. And in one of the more surprising moves of the day, New York Giants defensive coordinator Wink Martindale resigns after 3 seasons at the helm. He's likely to be a very highly sought-after D coordinator or even head coach elsewhere in the league. Moves not just being made in the NFL. Today, the St. Louis Cardinals general manager John Mozeliak announces that Chaim Bloom is hired as the advisor to the president of baseball operations for the Cardinals. He served as the chief baseball officer for the Red Sox from 2019 to 2023. He was fired this September after the team went 5 games over 500 in his time. Finishing things up with the college football playoff, tonight in the national championship, Michigan plays Washington. It's the final college football game until August. And in the national title game, in the 4th quarter right now, Michigan had jumped out to an early 17-3 lead after a couple explosive runs from their halfback Donovan Edwards. Right now it leads 20-13 in the 4th quarter. Washington trying to claw its way back into it, but has not held a lead all game. As we come on the air, the Huskies just had to punt the ball back to Michigan, who's clinging to that 7-point lead. So as it comes down the stretch in Houston, the national championship game is pretty simple for Michigan. If they can run the clock out, get a couple of first downs, maybe another score, they're going to be national champions.
I think they're going to do it.
Yeah, they've looked so good all year, and they've looked really good tonight.
Absolutely. All right, thanks, John. We'll back with more news right after this. A school in Texas is creating a safe space for students, calling it a reset room. School officials say the initiative aims to provide students with more social and emotional support. Fox's Rebecca Butcher has more.
We wanted to create a space here at a high school level where we can invite students, some of our most at-risk students, and just kind of give them a different type of space to come do some work in.
Carmen Chadwick with Rowlett High School helps focus on students as a whole and supports them not just academically, but emotionally and socially.
We needed a space that would invite them to come into and kind of let their guard down, and we just didn't really have that.
Chadwick reached out on Facebook for funding help for the Reset Room and got a large response back from the community. A friend put her in touch with her church, Preston Hollow, which helped financially with the project.
We can all recognize that we need a safe place to disconnect from our daily challenges and really de-escalate or take the emotions out of things or know how to deal with emotions.
Volunteers who put the room together Saturday are from Preston Hollow UMC and Rowlett High School.
When it was really that we're doing this for the kids and it's to give them a place that they can go, everyone was like, I'm in.
The room is the first of its kind at a secondary school for Garland ISD.
In putting that design together, thought, how does all of this culminate? Well, it's a home. That's what we're all looking for.
The space has a living room, a desk area, and a dining room with a kitchenette as well as a patio.
We will start with 14 children that we have vetted and hand-selected that we see great potential in. They're some of our most at-risk kids, and we're going to start investing in them on a daily basis.
Chadwick says she and the district will be getting training on restorative circles, groups that offer support and discuss accountability.
When our students leave our campus and go to an alternative school for like 30 days for different offenses and then come back to us, doing some restorative circles called re-entry circles where they come back into our school.
Preston Hollow purchased everything going into the room with its funds.
They're planting seeds into these children's lives. When these children leave this high school, they've invested in their legacy.
Coming up, we'll get a recap of last night's Golden Globes, including who took home those coveted awards. 2024 award season kicked off with the 81st Golden Globe Awards after the show underwent many behind-the-scenes changes. The revamped ceremony handed out honors in film and TV, which included new categories. Here's Fox's Ashley Dvorkin with the highlights of the night.
The 81st Golden Globe Awards threw their Hollywood party after a few years of changes, including a new network.
Welcome to the 81st Annual Golden Globe.
After diversity and ethics controversy with the Hollywood Foreign Press Association, a year off air, then NBC opting not to renew, the HFPA was dissolved and the Globes reinvented. Sunday, the show aired on CBS with Joe Coy as host, with some jokes which led him to point out he didn't have much time to prepare. Trophies were handed out in film and TV. Cue that Succession theme song, which played numerous times, as Globes were accepted for Best TV Series Drama and for several members of the Roy family, Sarah Snook, Matthew McFadden, and Kieran Culkin.
The Bear.
Yes, Chef, The Bear won Best TV Series Musical or Comedy, and acting honors for Jeremy Allen White and Ayo Edebiri.
Beef!
Beef took Best Limited Series Anthology Series or Motion Picture Made for Television, and trophies were handed out to Ali Wong and Stephen Yun. On the big screen, Best Motion Picture Musical or Comedy went to Poor Things, and Emma Stone also won for her performance. Oppenheimer won Best Motion Picture Drama and a few individual awards, including for Cillian Murphy and director Christopher Nolan. Among two new categories added, one went to one of the biggest movies of the year.
We would like to dedicate this to every single person on the planet who dressed up and went to the greatest place on earth, the movie theaters.
Barbie took the blockbuster honor of cinematic and box office achievement. In Hollywood, Ashley Dvorkin, Fox News.
That's our time for tonight. Thanks for joining us. We'll leave you with a video of a muskox calf in Washington playing with a ball. Thanks for making us part of your night.